came out to make it 3 straight. It seemed like you kept the foot on the throttle there.
Well, we tried to. We're still experiencing, trying to shut games down and close things out. The game tonight was, I don't know how to explain it. Players like to play with rhythm. And there was no rhythm in that game tonight. There was 75 face-offs. There was the 10-minute delay on whether it was a goal or not. It was scrambly. Line matches, penalties. Never really found a rhythm. So I was glad our players stayed patient enough and stayed in the game. You could sense a little bit of frustration because they're used to going every 3, every 4 shifts. Sometimes it didn't happen for them tonight. So it was a hard game for us to play, and I'm glad we fought through it.
Could just be circumstance for the last couple of games. It seems like your PK's been a little bit more aggressive, a few more shorthanded rushes than before. Is that just coincidence, or is that?
I think we haven't altered anything tactically or technically with the killers. They just feel more confident. We started the year really well penalty killing, and then took a dive for a while, but most of our penalty killers were hurt at that point. Now we've got them back. We're able to roll them out and feel better about that. In turn, our power play now, we've lost some key people, and we're giving some others an opportunity there, and we don't see real good numbers. But once we get our bodies back, we think we'll have two good units of special teams.
Todd, where do you stand on when your best player gets run by a guy who's got a little bit of a reputation as a predator and nothing happens, and later on when Nurse is on the ice, he at least tries to go over when a guy hits the Karen Kane? Does your team need more cohesiveness that regardless of who on the ice, someone at least has to say something to a predator when your best player gets hammered?
Well, I see your point, and I understand your point, and I think that's important for any type of team. When you talk about the days of just dropping your gloves and running over and starting a brawl, they don't exist, and I'm not here to promote that one bit. I'm against that personally. The fact that you go over and you speak to somebody is important. The opportunity that you get to maybe lay a lick on some of their skills, I think, also exists. And I think you saw that throughout the night. They had a real young player that's a tremendously talented player. He got hit a couple times tonight. So the game is changing. The presentation of the game is changing. The rules are changing. I think you're dead on, Jason. I think it's a little bit different from probably when you and I played. But we do need to have that. I thought we responded well later on in the game, again with Darnell. But I also thought we responded physically against some of their skill at some points during the night.
Todd, are you finding a difference now, down a goal with your team, knowing that it's not going to get to 2, not going to get to 3 with the way Nielsen is playing? Does that change the general countenance among your players on the bench?
We talk about confidence. From the crease out is the best way, and right now we have that. He feels good when he's in there, and I can tell you that the 23 guys, even the ones that weren't dressed tonight, feel good from the crease out. They feel good about him. They believe he'll make that save when we make mistakes, and we're not going to be perfect. So again, tonight he made some big saves when we needed them. We got him some run support, and we all get a win, so that's real good for us.
Todd, is Justin Schultz getting back to the player he was before the injury? He looked like today he was really
Yeah, he looked better today, didn't he? I thought last game too. The first 2 he was feeling his way through again, and anytime you have that type of injury, I'm not sure you're all in right away. I think he's starting to feel like he's all in.
I know you limited his minutes when you first came back, because do you have that communication with the player and say, how far can you play now, or you can
not necessarily. I think just like the players' actions dictate what we do, sometimes it's the other way around. And he's with Clough now. Feels good about that. That's where he wants to play. If you knocked on the door and said, I'd like to play with somebody, it'd probably be Clough. So he feels good about that, and he's worked his way into that role.
Can you address the simple fact that you're 3 points out of a playoff spot?
Well, you're always good for stats that I'm not aware of, so it's. I'm not going there. The schedule, the standings, the wins, the points, all will shake out when it's all said and done. I want our guys to know that we're slowly improving, and we're evaluating based on progress. We're not going into the newspaper or the stat sheet and pointing anything out as far as that goes. We'd like to keep this homestand, going. We'll face two very good teams coming up. The great thing about tonight is a win, and this was a break we were reaching for. I think we played 8 games in 14 nights or 16 nights or something like that, 15. That's a lot of hockey considering we were out on the East Coast. So we needed tomorrow for mental rest, physical rest. We'll get back ready to go.
So you want to win the San Jose game first?
Yeah, and I want to win the Ranger game, and then I'd love to win in Boston again. And I'm selfish. I want to win them all.
Todd, do you have an update at all on Yakupov and Pouliot as far as health?
Well, Connor. Yak is, I don't see Yak playing before Christmas, unfortunately. Now, don't hold me to the fire because it could change. Pouliot's going to be a little while yet. Klink is skating. He's going to take more on. So this is our roster for a little while.
Thank you.